use our back lot. Look at what we already have made.
He's like, no, I don't want to make that kind of film.
Yeah.
And this obviously shows, and I feel like this is a labor of love.
The best reason that we get to have this full-blown built city on the shores of Mono Lake and not a back lot somewhere at Universal Studios or whatever is because of what we see in the final scene.
Well, yeah, I mean, I couldn't leave that out.
Hey, Gretchen.
Hi, Martin.
We're back.
We're back.
For another episode, and this one's a special one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of doing a comparison, but also we're going to mainly focus on one film, which is one of my favorite films. And again, I like to say favorite, but it's literally my top 100 films. I get every once in a while, I'll get asked by other shows. It'll go, hey, what are your top 100 horror films? And I'm like, yes. High Plains Drifter makes that cut.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about its horror elements, but High Plains Drifter, 1973, directed by Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of his long pantheon of Western films that he was making, as well as directing those. And so High Plains Drifter, 1973, and then we're going to compare that with
Pale Rider, 1985.
Right, which he also directs.
Yes, and he also has the same DP, which is so funny.
Yeah.
So these two films have a lot of things that are in common. They hold a commonality of story elements that are. I almost feel like the High Plains Drifter set the like precedence of trope for it, because this film was in and of itself was pretty innovative for its time. It's considered one of the revisionist Western films from the Hollywood era classics of like cowboys versus Indians and whatnot, like all the Sergio Leone stuff. And it is taking the story in a different route versus a simplistic like shoot 'em ups or whatnot.
Yeah. I've watched both of these films prior to us, so having watched it for the show, but it was so much fun to revisit these, and especially like back to back, and be able to compare them, knowing that there's he's not trying to hide it. It's a full acknowledgement that this is the Clint Eastwood unnamed person coming into a situation.
Yes.
Two different situations. Yeah.
Stranger.
Right. The unknown stranger. Yeah.
Right.
I was grabbing for my words. Yeah, but it's kind of his unknown stranger, which he plays really well. I mean, Clint Eastwood has really grabbed a hold of that idea in the Western genre.
Yeah.
That's kind of his thing. I can't think of anybody else who is actually known to embrace that kind of an idea where they come in as because in a way, they're almost not even the lead character. They're the one that's taking us through the story of whatever is happening in this particular town in one place.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in a town and in a mining town
they're both mining towns.
They're both mining towns.
They hold a lot of. That's the thing about these.
And you're right.
I think that why people go think these are two that one is a recreation of the other one, but I don't see that as any in that way. It's different scripts, different elements that come from them. I mean, honestly, this is written by the screenplay is written by Ernest Tidyman. He wrote The French Connection. He won Oscar or Academy for The French Connection for his screen work. But he based this off of a true life crime thing that happened in 1960s. There was a woman who was killed and had a bunch of people that were just spectators. And so I think he decided to kind of play on that, and as well as using a little bit of the kind of symbolism and allegory that is partly popular in the Sergio Leone type style films.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also just had a realization too, which I guess we can get into. Maybe we can get into it right now.
Yeah.
With realizing that, because you're right. We've got High Plains Drifter and we've got Pale Rider, and both of those have to deal with a mining town, and a stranger comes in. And the realization that I had, in High Plains Drifter, he comes into town and they kind of recruit him after he ends up killing the three guys that were hired to be their protectors. And so they have to explain to him, we need a protector. Here's this situation we've got. And then the story unravels why they had to have those protectors, what the situation is going on, and then the vindication that's coming. And with Pale Rider, he doesn't go to town. He's actually out passing by on a mining claim for some folks, but the bad guys are in town.
Right.
And so in High Plains Drifter, we start to find out that the bad guys are in town. You know, they're bad, weak folks. So it was just a realization that I just had, that town represents where the bad folks are in these.
True. I mean, more so in High Plains Drifter, because I feel like those people are, we quickly kind of discover that there is that the town has like a secret, and that we'll kind of get into that. But in the elements that are present in like Pale Rider, he's more of like a rescuer. Like he kind of teaches them. He's a little bit of a morality tale. He's kind of an angel, but also, woe betide to the other people.
Yeah.
However, whereas in like High Plains Drifter, he is way more of a aggressive character comes at me, because he comes in and immediately, like, he's a stranger in town. Everybody's like, who's this guy? And he immediately kills those two guys, the two, like, as you said, hired help.
Yeah.
And without much recourse, honestly, like, you're kind of left with this moment of going, well, why did he attack them? But they attacked him, so he attacked back,
Yeah.
It was kind of a very quick shootout. And immediately that puts the town on high alert. They're like, all right. And so we have our beginning scenes of him coming in and kind of... It gets ugly quick.
It gets very ugly very quick.
And we realize, we realize he's not a nice guy. And I feel like there's so many things that gave birth to this before we even get to that, him getting into town. It's like he kind of appears on the plains, like heat waves rising up, this discordant score that's happening. It's like the tone is set for a very... And like when I called it a horror film, like this is the very beginning of horror elements that you see. And there's this, the lighting is darker. Everything's kind of sundowning. It's, but also like in other aspects, there's like this blazing sun, kind of like, almost like a righteous light of sorts, like putting a spotlight on the situation.
Yeah.
I may be reading too much into it, but I watch a lot of I liked Sergio Leone films a lot. I love those kind of style of like close-ups, and I love those, that angling. And but anyways, going back to
that's what we're here for.
Right.
We're here to read into it.
I
too
know,
much.
Right? Exactly.
We're gonna make whatever story out of this we want. It's how
like,
we reacted to it. Yep.
It's truly a horror film, I promise. But no, I've always read this as a horror film.
Yeah.
We start off with like this woman comes in and she's like bumps him really aggressively, and she's like, ah. And he's like, I'm going to show you a lesson, and rapes her in the bar. And when everybody watches, nobody stands up. And so those are what you first get, those moments of realization of knowing that the town is not what it seems. That it's not just this like little town of Lago in the middle of nowhere. That there's this element that you've noticed right off the bat, because the way that people are watching and their cowardice in acting. Is very prevalent.
They are. It is a town of cowards, and we do learn that very quickly.
Right.
One of the first interactions that we have once our stranger comes to town, hands off his horse and wants to have a shave and a cleanup, you know, coming off of the high plains and wanting to have a little something, has apparently the money to pay for it and just wants to go in and have a shave. And immediately our barber is very shaken up by the fact that a person is in there to get, I mean, what else does this guy have to do? And yet he is so afraid. And that really
I would not let him shave my face.
No, you're not
shaking.
Putting that.
I was like, oh boy.
Right. But that whole framing kind of starts us all off on what everybody in that town is. And really, it really is showing us everything we need to know. These people are petrified of anything outside. They're petrified of their current situation.
Or are they just greedy?
Well, what are they greedy for? Because they're petrified. They're scared. Here's a stranger in town, and they've got those two hired guns that are in there. They don't know what's going to be happening because none of them stand up for anything.
No, but they're the reason why as we kind of dove into this, we know that the town is greedy.
Oh, sure.
And that's part of their cowardice.
Absolutely. So, and with that, what we end up finding out is that the town has a mine, and that mine is actually on federal property as opposed to private property. And Correct. If the government finds out about that, they're going to yank the mining claims from it. They would be able to open it up for others.
Right.
And the marshal finds out about it, so they hire some guys to do in the marshal to keep it quiet.
Man, and his death was a slow, brutal death.
Right.
Being whipped to death by a gang. And, did you know that Marshall Duncan, that character, is played by Clint Eastwood's stunt double, Buddy.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's his. So I remember when I remember watching this film multiple times, I'm like, is that actually Clint Eastwood?
Well, he likes his folks. Like he's always had kind of a close knit. Like you had said, his DP in this one, that guy's a DP for a ton of Clint Eastwood stuff.
Oh boy.
For his dramas. Clint Eastwood has a ton of like odd dramas that he did over the years. He did his Every Which Way But Loose, the Philo Beddoe films, Dirty Harry. This guy was DPing those films, Firefox when he was doing that. So this guy was covering a range of genres with Clint Eastwood when he was experimenting all through the 70s, 80s into the early 90s. And then a lot of those actors, like folks that were part of the Black Widow motorcycle gang, when he was in the Philo Beddoe movies, so he kind of gets his group of folks together.
All of them are like that. Even his D. Barton, who did the score for this, is also did the score for Play Misty for Me and the Thunderbolt and Light.
Thunderbolt and Lightfoot.
Yeah. That film.
Yeah.
He did the scoring for those.
Yeah.
Totally different, like vibes, completely, like just wildly different.
Yeah.
But I thought that was neat that he likes to work with the same people. But I don't know, are they all contracted under is it how do you pronounce his production company? Malpalouse?
Oh, I don't remember the name on it.
I think it's called like Malpaso or something like that.
That very well could be.
Anyways, that's his production company, and they, I wonder if they're all contracted under that. But I also think he just likes to like play favorites, just like a lot of directors do that.
If it's his production company, he gets to have whoever he wants. And at that point in time, Clint Eastwood, especially after High Plains Drifters, really
they were like, here's some money.
Yeah, exactly. And so Clint Eastwood was enough of a powerhouse then. He could pretty much work with whoever he wanted to. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's why you see all of those folks. It's because they really like to. It's very much, James Gunn is very much a person like that, as we've watched a director go from some of the early horror and sort of superhero films that he did to becoming a Marvel, now running that whole DC universe. He's carried a lot of the same actors and a lot of the same crew. Guillermo del Toro is very notable for bringing a lot of his same crew people with him from Mexico when he was working down there on indie and little films to now working in the industry. They get a good group of people together who have a very common shorthand language on how they all operate. And they're great examples of the rising tide lifting all the boats, at least all the boats that are in their own marina.
Yeah.
You can't do it for everyone, but yeah, it's pretty great to watch.
I think it makes for cohesive filmmaking.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you know, and you love what you love, and you've got your crew, right?
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, and Clint Eastwood, and we can talk about it a little bit more once we get to the Pale Rider world, but Clint Eastwood is very known for coming in on or ahead of time and on or under budget. He's very, very known for that. And he's very much known for his like 1 or 2 takes. He doesn't do a lot of takes. He's very precise. He knows where he wants his cameras and where he wants his shots. So when you have a cohesive group of people that have worked together on a lot of these films and they know each other's personalities as well as their technical abilities, you just get super dialed in and you can start making some pretty killer stuff that way.
Well, I mean, I have to say, for his first Hollywood style, like his first directed Western, like this is his first one.
Studio pick, yeah. I think this was.
This is. I feel like this was a pretty freaking high bar he just set.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when you look at like Pale Rider, it's clean, right? It's like, here we go. All the beats are hit and it has all those elements that people are kind of expecting in these.
It very much feels like a studio.
Right. Everything kind of has a look. Whereas
Yeah.
this to me still has a more of a.
With High Plains Drifter.
Still High Plains Drifter feels more indie horror vibe. I keep going back to calling it a horror film, but I mean, if you really look at it, like the coloration, the setting, the scenes, the painting the town red, the catching everything on fire, like the flashbacks of the death scene, which I think is only for the audience, because I don't get the impression that he's having nightmares.
No, I definitely think that is for us.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So that we get the perspective of the reason why he's doing all this.
Yeah. It's giving us information to the past as to what may have gotten us to where we are, but it's also starting to point us toward how is this going to end? What are we going to end up seeing in some of this? How do we do the setup and then give the payoff and have those things all rhyme together? Thank you, George Lucas. They rhyme.
Is that his like phrasing?
He had a thing. Yeah, it's like poetry. They rhyme. Oh. You know, when you tie in your setup and your payoff.
That's funny.
Yep.
I like that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about him, so when I hear those kinds of like quips, it makes him more human. What can I say?
hang out from time to time.
You do?
He hasn't
like
called
best
in a while.
buds?
Yeah,
You like high five each other.
Since he sold to Disney, we don't stay in touch anymore. It's just the money changed that man. So, but yeah. Well, you brought up music, and I want to talk about the music, and especially between these two films.
Wow, right?
Because the music, and I think the music goes with actually sort of where we were leaving off there a little bit in how these things feel in the studio, because High Plains Drifter feels like a film that's taking risks and it has a vision, whereas like you were saying, Pale Rider feels more like it's on the beat and has kind of a studio feel to it.
Well, it hits all the tropes that were expected of a Western of that era.
Sure.
We got a little smarter, a little harder, whereas before then the plots were very simple, like they were shoot 'em ups.
Yeah, well, I don't consider it to be simple in a shoot 'em up with High Plains Drifter, but it's a story of risks.
That's what I mean. But I mean, before High Plains Drifter, there was because High Plains Drifter is kind of that bar now. That is
it really
that
is.
It is the recreationist stuff, or revolutionist stuff. It's, it has changed the way we see these films.
Oh, absolutely.
They're no longer spaghetti. They're no longer like silly or like John Wayne coming in, that kind of.
Right.
Right. We're not getting that anymore.
Well, because it's supernatural.
Right.
Now and that's, I think,
Again,
the great part, which is why you have
horror
the horror
element.
aspect. Absolutely. I think you're totally right, because I love that aspect of this supernatural, unnamed stranger that's come into town, possible angel of vengeance, and the music as well as the imagery, because we talked about the DP, and the imagery on this is so fantastic. The painting the town red. We can talk about the last scene when we get into all of that too, with all that, because we definitely got to talk about that. But how the music also plays into all of the the scenes and the feeling and the horror aspect of this Western and this supernatural feeling in High Plains Drifter is so good.
Yeah.
It's really good music.
It
and it's
sets
not spaghetti.
tones.
It does. It sets excellent tones. It has great foreboding in it.
Creates tension.
Absolutely creates really great tension.
It's so bizarre because D Barton is a jazz musician.
Mm-hmm.
So it's such a like departure sound wise. But if you think about it, I mean, maybe not. If you think about like discordant jazz, like how like cacophonous that can sound, this has those elements that you hear in it, especially like the high squealing and like those are terrifying, and they build that tension slowly as we're like, and I mean, like what is a good score supposed to do? That's exactly what it's supposed to do. I feel like Pale Rider doesn't have that. Like it's very like symphonic, it's very like orchestral and like, you know, like highs and falls. Like we have a touching, heartfelt scene. So the music has that kind of vibe to it. And then whereas this doesn't, this constantly feels very gritty and very like, not melancholy, but like malicious. Like everything is, I almost like, I hate to say that you can feel the color red, but you feel the color red from it. You feel like his vengeance, his anger at being taken so soon and being taken in that way.
Yeah. And I think you noted this before. The music for High Plains Drifter was a score that was created for the film, whereas High Plains Drifter, I think, was
Pale Rider.
Pale Rider was purchased.
It was purchased.
Music that hadn't been specifically scored for that film.
Right.
And you can absolutely feel the difference.
Well, and I think that was the intention is that, I mean, like if you look at, like, if you take these like side by sides of them, right? So I talk about the color red in High Plains Drifter, whereas Pale Rider, everything is very blue and green and the color tones are a lot more angelic. Mm-hmm. But his character in that is a preacher, an angel, so to speak. The
unnamed preacher. He's just preacher.
Yeah. Whereas this guy is the drifter, the stranger, and vengeance.
We have a temperature difference between these two as well. It was great when you were pointing out High Plains Drifter, and he's coming in off of the plains. Well, on High Plains Drifter,
High Plains Drifter is hot.
Yeah, it's hot, and just that heat waves across the desert as he rides in and rides out of town. And with Pale Rider, we've got some mostly snow on the ground. It's kind of starting to melt, so it's like maybe late winter, early spring.
Yeah,
and so it has this very cold feel to it.
Everybody's really filthy though in that town. You're like, good.
They are.
Everybody in both towns are like, they look rough.
Yeah.
I think I remember talking
everyone's
about
sweating in High Plains Drifter. Nobody's sweating in Pale Rider. They're all
Pale
bundled
Rider,
up.
They're dark and
they're so dirty and grimy
and stuff. I'm like, nobody had soap. Like I'm pretty sure Lye was out by then.
Yeah, you'd think they were coal miners instead of tin panners out there on the river.
But in High Plains Drifter, everybody. I think I remember saying, did they switch makeup people? Because there has this.
Oh, there was that. Yeah.
There was a very weird like shift. I don't know, and this is probably something that like Clint Eastwood saw later and was like, because he is so one take and so like intentional now more so. I think that, or like later more so, whereas I think this he let those kinds of things, that continuity slip a little bit on the makeup. Like suddenly people were like really undermade, and I was like, what happened? Because like when we first get into the town, everybody looks pretty made up for the most part, and then maybe it's a reflection of like showing their true nature.
They're starting to fall apart a little bit. It could be, but with that makeup
I just think it's a little continuity issue.
Well, there's a little bit of a lighting shift, and I don't consider it to be a lighting shift that's happening that looks intentional. It looks like we're in a hurry, get a light on this scene right now. We got to shoot this thing because they're doing a pickup shot or they're behind or something. And it's most specifically, we're talking about at the time when he's moved into the inn and he's standing there and they've cleared out all the guests and he's having a confrontation with the innkeeper and his wife, and it's that the innkeeper's wife, just the lighting that's coming out of this hallway and shining on her, and it's like they knew they had to pick up a couple of lines of dialogue, or they had to add something in, and they were just like, stick that 5K in the hallway and turn it on. Well, that's 5K, it's too much. It's like, fire it up, and it's just boom. It's like this great big spotlight shooting out of the hallway on there, and it's like, holy cow, that person is so lit up. It's really weird.
It's because she's not a bad guy. I mean, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everybody has questionable morals in this town.
And that's very true. So it might have been an intentional thing that now we can scrutinize. It becomes easier to scrutinize because we've been handed things so easily. But in 73, there was probably intention behind it. And now we're just being grumpy because we've been shown that you can light absolutely nothing and have no shadows on things, very much like the Wicked movie. The way Wicked is lit, since we're talking about this, I'll just throw this in as a weird fact. There's like no shadows in Wicked. The whole thing is lit completely clean on sound stages, because it's all, they have sets, but they're built against green screen. So a ton of green screen stuff is going on. Everybody is lit with no shadows. They did all of the shadow work in post-production. So there's no shadows.
Weird.
So everything is manipulated in post. So, there's a lot we take for granted in those early days of filmmaking.
I kind of say I don't really like those. I don't like Wicked, but I mean, I'm not a Wicked movie fan. I liked the play. I mean, it was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I like films that are like that though as much anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's my age showing or whatever, but like I have a preference to beautiful camera work and beautiful lighting and sets and props and the art of special effects, of like practical effects.
Practical effects, yes.
I feel
we talk about that often here.
I feel like that's something we're deeply like coming away from as as film progresses and changes and whatnot, and the audience's interest changes. And I mean, back then, like, single shots were beautiful and perfect and what people wanted, whereas like nowadays the camera has to be moving so much that people get bored if it's not.
Yeah. That's actually a really great point. Right now I'm in the process of pre-production for a short film that I'm shooting the second week of June. And a lot of how I am mapping out this film, it has 4 actors, and they're all kind of, they all end up coming together in the same place in one room, and it's 4 siblings interacting with each other. So it's really important to kind of have them in space. And so I'm working really closely with my DP, camera operator, and my assistant director to really map out how our story unfolds and giving people things to do while the actors explore their characters. Because we're going to be doing kind of longer shots. We're not doing one shots, like we're trying to pull off something, but a very good example of a film is like Roxanne, which Steve Martin's take on Cyrano de Bergerac, where the shots are just longer and people have things to do, and we kind of hang with the characters a little bit longer because there is some movement and there's some interest in the dialogue, and it's an interesting story. They're interesting people who are living in those characters. So we're not doing what I call the Liam Neeson 17 take to get over a fence move from Taken. There's 17 cuts in a shot to get Liam Neeson over a fence. And we've gotten really used to that kind of Jason Bourne, where it's just got to be this frenetic cut.
Do you think it's because, and I don't mean to diverge from this film too much, but do you think it is because the audience is like, they get bored so fast? I'm assuming because I'm an old lady and
it is
so negative.
Our attentions have been changed. Yeah. I think that means a lot for films. I think it would be almost impossible to make a High Plains Drifter today.
Absolutely.
Especially with some of just like that early content that first.
They shot it all in 6 weeks.
Right. They shot it in 6 weeks. They built that whole city. Like a lot of times people, and you had pointed out too, when they built that town, not city, but when they built that town of Lago, They built the interiors on those. It's not
Yeah.
facades. They built the interiors because they shot all the interiors out in that too. And they probably had some breakaway walls and a couple of places where they could shift things. But for the most part, that whole town of Lago on the shores of Mono Lake in California is completely a physical 100% representation that they built out to shoot inside and out. Hardly anybody does that anymore. They'll do facades, but then if they're doing interiors, they'll build those interiors in a soundstage.
Well,
And then they'll print out like a big backdrop that hangs out the window, and then they'll just throw like a couple of 10Ks out there for daylight, or they'll have a bunch of pinholes through stuff so that they can have their nighttime stuff. And they shoot none of those things in true interiors anywhere, and it's all in a soundstage. And of course, the green screen and everything else. So they're controlling things a lot more, but they're also not necessarily telling good stories. Everything is about the frenetic pace of how things move and cut and flash and do things, as opposed to oftentimes telling us interesting stories.
Well, and beyond that, like there are people who specialize in lighting films that do have an art to it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the movie Nosferatu. I know that probably sounds crazy, but the DP on that, wow. There are shots that look like literal photographs because they are well lit.
The crossroads.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. The lighting.
And that's practical. That's
right,
a
and
real
that's a practical
spot.
effect.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the stuff that I feel like it's like, and when we see that, people are like, wow, this movie is so good, and they're able to kind of look past like the silly things that are in it, and so that's what the point of those kinds of art is. Like those I feel like that is what's getting lost in filmmaking in general. Like the art of lighting a set, the art of the matte painting, all of that stuff is just going by the wayside. Except for you have a few you have a few directors that bring it back, and then that's dubbed an art house film or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sinners is a really good example. I can't remember if you've seen Sinners.
Yeah, I
or not.
have.
Sinners is a great piece of cinematic art. It's nearly a flawless film.
It's fantastic.
It's so beautifully shot. And the DP on that was the same DP
And it's
that
kind of a
he
Western,
had.
right?
It very much so. Yeah, it's 1939 Sharecropper, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful to look at. That film is so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. And it's gorgeous to hear Ryan Coogler talk about how he mapped out that film and how he thought about his shots and what they all represented, and the times when he shot between the IMAX 70 millimeter and then 35 millimeter full frame.
Are we ever going to get to see this movie in 70 millimeter? That's the other question. I don't think that's ever going to get
I don't know,
released.
because they have it in IMAX.
Yeah, there's some struggles about it, like that getting it in theaters that are like Hollywood theater trying to get the 70 millimeter.
Oh, I'd
version of it.
love to see the
Right?
70 millimeter of this film. That would be so
I
fantastic.
bet it's so pretty.
Yeah. Well, the 35 millimeter is, because I've seen 2 screenings of the 35 millimeter print that they have at the Hollywood, which they got after the digital releases to the cinemas. As soon as the 35 millimeter came out, I was like, nope, I'm there.
Yeah. These kinds of films need to be screened in that format. And again, it's kind of like, is it our generation? Sure. That we're holding on to our vinyl records and our VHS and our 35 millimeter because we want that texture, that full experience. I don't feel like you can mimic that perfectly and on a digital format, at least not I think my uncanny valley sets in too easily. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't look like that looks so fake. Like I feel like sometimes I'm watching a movie and I'm like, am I watching a cartoon or a movie?
Yes.
I get that's how sometimes that divide is so intense. I mean, the fact that sometimes they're green screening off people's limbs, and I think that's smart. But back in the day, what did we do? We tied it behind, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. There is a film. This is, we're diverging a little bit. We'll pull back in here. But I was listening to a podcast here recently where they reviewed a film that was made in 2002, early 2000s, maybe a little later, near 2010, somewhere in there. Anyway, it was early 2000s. Oh my goodness. It's called Tiptoes. And It stars Gary Oldman
Ooh.
as a person with dwarfism.
Okay.
And he does the whole movie with a pair of pants that are truncated at the knees so that he's got a fake set of feet on him. And he walks around the whole film on his knees. And then he's got his shoulders kind of pinned back, and they give him a little bit of a hump to have part of the degenerative or like a musculature issue that's part of his character. But he does the whole film tiptoes as a person with dwarfism. Yeah, cringy. He's supposed to be the twin brother of full-size Matthew McConaughey.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Why have I not seen this movie?
That really exists.
I need to see this.
It's one of the most disturbing trailers I've ever seen. It's a full-blown feature film.
Wow.
Full-blown feature film.
Wow, I need to see this.
Yeah.
Tiptoes.
So,
Write that down,
so
folks. Just saying, holy camole.
Yeah. Practical effects are great, but that doesn't mean you can make every movie.
But also Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
You know, that's hard. Oh
Yeah.
boy. Yeah. I mean, and that's one of those things. It's like, I wonder if that's like is that because our generation was that we saw those kinds of films and that was what we're inspired by. And, you know, the new era of filmmaking is a little different. I mean, I feel like some directors are trying to reclaim that, as I said earlier. But yeah. It's I don't know. Going back to this though, set completely made.
Oh man, yeah. For
6 weeks of shooting, set completely made.
Yeah. High Plains Drifter. I started to say Pale Rider there, but yeah, High Plains Drifter.
Well, High Plains Drifter was shot in like Colorado,
Mono Lake, California.
Oh, Mono Lake. No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Pale Rider.
Pale Rider was shot in Colorado.
Yeah.
Oh boy. See, this is going to happen. Don't come for us, audience. We promise we do know.
This isn't a geography podcast.
Right. Ooh. Yeah, I do know that there were some scenes they had to shoot like at different lakes to get some of the shots of the lake aspects of High Plains Drifter. But those were just like some just quick shots.
Yeah.
They weren't like trying to move pieces out to that particular shoot. Just to get what do they call those, like
Principal photography.
Principal photography.
Yeah, they were doing pickup shots, but they built the town of Lago right there on the shores of Mono Lake,
which is a little bit outside of Universal, which is kind of funny because Universal Studios working with his Malpaso. This word is gonna mess me up. Oh boy, Malpaso Productions was working with Universal to make this film, but Universal was like, "Hey, what do you use?" And he was all like, "No,
use our backlot. Look at what we already have made."
He's like, "No, I don't want to make that kind of film."
Yeah.
And this obviously shows, and I feel like this is a labor of love. Let's talk about like some of the fun actors that are in this one.
Well, and before we segue to that, I do want to talk about the town one more time.
Oh, sorry.
Then we can leave it alone because to me, the best reason that we get to have this full-blown built city on the shores of Mono Lake and not a back lot somewhere at Universal Studios or whatever is because of what we see in the final scene.
Well, yeah. I mean, I couldn't leave that out.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't want to give too much of the story away because I feel like people need to see this film, but it's pretty like you can see all everything kind of falling into place throughout the film. But the flames. So he paints the town red, or he orders the town to paint red, which comes up like we're like one shot. Town is red.
Yeah.
One shot. Town is not red. Like they get to work.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, I suppose. They deconstruct one of the buildings to create a picnic scene or a dinner scene to welcome back the bad guys or back the gang.
Right.
I mean, do we need to explain the plot of this movie more?
Well, I don't think we need to explain the plot, but I think it's what you're saying is great. You know, he says we're going to paint the town red. I want everything.
But he never explains why.
Everything. But one of the people says, "Well, you're going to make this place look like hell."
He's like, "Oh yeah."
And they even changed the sign out in the front where they cover over Lago with
Scrape it out and write
name
hell.
of hell. Because it really leads to that. It's not the final shot, but it's the final shot with our bad guys. It's kind of the confrontation shot where he burns the town down.
But also think about it this way. The town is obviously we kind of as we get to this scene, we find out that the town is not what it seems. That people are
very
just
corrupted
and whatnot. And so like he knows that they are setting up these gang guys to get killed anyways. Like, so I think he's like, yes, he's opening up having a town dinner for them, a welcome party, so to speak. But he's also like, if you think about it, like I'm trying to place words. It feels like he's acknowledging that they're coming to their deaths in that respect.
He's exposing their cowardice.
Yeah.
He's going to make this big banquet for everyone out there.
This is the Last Supper.
Yeah, it is. It's, well, sort of. It's kind of, everything is about humiliation, really, at this point in time. He's humiliating them. They're cowards. They're not going to stand on top of the buildings and shoot at these guys. They've had the ability
he tried
to
to
do it the
do
whole
it.
time.
Well, he tried to teach them. Remember?
Right, he tried to teach them.
Put the dummies in the cart, and nobody hit those dummies.
Sure, and they could have done this the whole time. They've always had guns. They've always had ammo. They could have shot their marshal and buried him if they wanted to. They were cowards. No one wanted to pull the trigger. They hired somebody else to do it. Here it is. They know these guys are about to get out of jail, and they're probably going to come back for vengeance, and none of them have the courage to be able to stand up there on that building with the same guns and all the ammo that they have and shoot at them. So here we are again. They've hired two people. Those are the ones that our stranger kills in the beginning because they come after him. So now they've got him, and he's just continuing to expose their cowardice and humiliate them. And this dinner is a humiliation. Broad daylight right in the middle of town.
As the bad guys, as the gang comes into town. I keep calling them bad guys, but I almost feel like everybody's a bad guy.
Yeah, there are no good people. There's kind of one person that's sort of good, and that is our Malachi character.
Yeah.
He's kind of good. He is the most unfortunate person in there who gets elevated by Clint Eastwood. But then again, everyone is saying once a stranger's not in town anymore, you just remember who you got to live with.
Yeah.
And that person, we see them hiding at the time when we see our little flashbacks of the marshal being killed. But at the same time, it's a person who has dwarfism. They're about 3 feet tall, and there's nothing that he is going to be able to do against 3 guys with bullwhips and pistols.
Yeah.
There's nothing he can do. So of any of the people that are spectating or living in their cowardice, his would be expected.
But also, like, in their spectating and in their cowardice, there's these moments of when the camera flashes over each person's face, some of them are in shadow and some of them are in light. And then the ones that are in light are like taking almost like a delight in watching this because they want this marshal gone.
Yeah.
So that he can't tell the federal government about the claim or about the gold.
I agree.
So,
they don't feel guilty about what they've done.
I mean, they're just desserts, or kind of they're just desserts. I mean, again, like I feel like that's why that set was set to be like a Last Supper, like because he knew he was going to burn this ding dang town down. So that sets that stage for these guys to come into town, and kind of like in Pale Rider, we have like a final confrontation with the guys who are the deputies of John Russell. I can't remember what the Stockwell. Yeah.
He's he's Sheriff Stockwell and his deputies.
Yes, which has Billy Drago.
Yeah.
It's just always weird to see him in anything because he's just such a creep. Like he plays such like creepy guys. He doesn't even talk. Speaking of not talking, actually, did you realize that like for the first 7 minutes of like High Plains Drifter, there's no he doesn't even talk at all.
No, not at all.
Which I think is just again some genius I'm starting to see more and more as I talk about this film how much why I love this film. Maybe I'm gonna raise its rate of my 100, maybe up to like a 90.
Yeah, even he's asked questions.
Yeah.
The barber even asked questions of him.
He's
How
just
about
got
some
like his little cigarette in his mouth, and he's
right?
like,
Yep. How about some lavender water? It smells really nice. The ladies always like it. No? Okay. Goes to put it away. Yeah, he never gives an answer. He just kind of looks at folks and that's it.
I think the thing that I remember some trivia that somebody pointed out was like there was the shaving cream changes places on some of the shots. And I was like, well, I mean, honestly, like, did I notice that? No. I'm like, somebody else had to tell me because I'm obviously more like focused on other things. I don't need that, like those small continuities to be standing out for me.
That's such small continuity.
It's
like
so
you
silly.
You have to shoot from so many angles and you have to do your shots over
Do you know how hard it
again.
is to keep soap on your face?
Yeah, putting shave soap on somebody's face, like
Oh my God.
Man, if you're having to nitpick that.
Yeah.
I mean, I love watching my films and dissecting them, but I'm not willing to cut them across that much.
Yeah.
Took you more time to write that thing up in the goof section of IMDb than it did for any of us to notice it on our 12th
Yeah,
watch.
I don't even think it was in the goof section. I think it was like somebody. I was reading somebody's critique of the film, and I was like, oh, well, I didn't even notice that. And then went back and when we were rewatching it, I was like, oh, okay. But it's not that big of a deal. It's like that's small things. I mean, there are so many great things those are the things you don't even notice. I mean, to me at least.
Yeah.
I'm not that audience member that's like, I don't notice that stuff.
Oh, the shaving cream's out of place.
The lighting,
tomatoes
being blasted with a light. Yeah, I noticed that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that might have even been like a choice, like some kind of metaphor for somebody like having the spotlight on them and like showing their true colors and things like that, like what they look like in the stark light. That's why part of me is like maybe that makeup continuity, because I did notice the makeup continuity.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because like it was so dramatic, at least the shift. I mean, did you think that looked?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not just like, am I just drawing straws here?
No,
like?
it was a very bizarre shift.
Yeah.
And again, understanding how films are made, that could have been something where they had done the original shot and something happened, or they changed the script while they were doing it and saying, we missed this, we need to do that, something's not working.
Yeah.
So they just did this quick pickup shot where they're like, we just need to do this scene. Here's what our lines are. Just get that light in here. Just shoot that thing. Let's just do that.
Totally.
And they could have come off of a totally different scene and they were just like, go, 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 go. We got to pick this thing up. And they
Yeah.
pick up that shot. And, it's that there weren't special effects like there are now. So you don't get to doctor your shot. And it's shot on film. So whatever was on the celluloid's on the celluloid. Gosh. I think most people in 73 watching that aren't going to be bothered by that either. It's noticeable to me, but it's noticeable to me in 2025.
Right. And you're also a director. So,
yeah, sometimes things are kind of ruined for me because I know how the sausage is made.
I wondered about that, like because you know how the sausage is made. Like, does that? I mean, I only have a small insight to that, but I feel like with you, are there sometimes you're like, oh boy, like that camera angle. I mean, I'll see if I see like a boom operator in the shot, I'm like, oh boy,
yeah,
woof. I think there was like some movie called like Tiger Storm or Tiger. It was like a kung fu film I was watching. Literally the boom guy in the shot.
Oh,
it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously in the shot. It was,
Yeah.
I think it was even like a Vinegar Syndrome re-release to it. I guess they were just like, leave it in. It's funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
There are shots where it depends on the films. There are times where most people won't notice, but I'll be watching it and it's like, man, I can see in the glare of that window, I can see the crew sitting there. There's a shot in The Untouchables where they're in Sean Connery's apartment and they're doing this big exterior and they're moving across there and they go by the windows and it's like, I can see the whole gimbal rig setup with everybody moving across the shot in the glass. You can see, but most people don't ever notice that. And they're all sorts of times.
Did they remove that for the like mastering of it? Like
they may have been able to clean that up.
Is that what happens oftentimes in remastering of films? Like
Sometimes.
they'll catch those little reflections and like whoop, fix those with a little bit of
possibly.
Like
it depends on what their budget is and if they have the time to do it. Most people don't notice those things. I'll see a boom reflected off of like a car door or something through a windshield, a house. There's all sorts of little things like that I'll notice from time to time. And I don't criticize anyone for that because I know that they spent like 3 hours trying to light that scene, and then some audio guy had to spend 2 minutes while they're like, okay, we're ready to go. And now they're like, oh crap, now I got to figure out how to get around all of this stuff and not have my shadow on the wall here, but I got to boom to this person over here. And I get like, you know, it becomes this impenetrable maze of stuff that you try to do. Oh, and you're in a wide shot, so now I can't be anywhere near this person, but I have to have the mic near them. Yeah, so it's so difficult to be able to pull that stuff off.
But that, I think, is what modern films now don't have to worry as much about.
Sometimes.
Because they can fix
You can
that.
take a lot of that stuff out. I
Yeah.
mean, even, you know, because even just the other night we were talking about that where we do something like, if you have to have something like this and you film your shot and your person has to be in there, and for whatever reason you've got maybe a shadow of your boom or the Zeppelin is a little bit in, like there's something, you can shoot what's called a clean plate, where you have those people move back out of the way and you didn't move your tripod or your sticks or whatever. You just shoot that without that. So now that shadow's not there. So then you go back and you just cut that place out. You cut out your boom person. There's now a hole in your digital footage, and you slide the other clip in behind there where that shadow, it just takes it out, and you just kind of put a mask in there to clean all of that stuff up. And now your shadow goes away. And so, yeah, you can do fantastic things like that. Now, that's where, you know, effects come in really handy to be able to do work like that.
That makes really beautiful films as well. I mean, I know I was criticizing digital filmmaking, but like, and there are elements of digital filmmaking that work. Like we see this in, again, not my favorite movie, but Nosferatu, right?
Yeah.
Like there are those moments of like, good job, digital effects, because that would have been ugly and messy. I mean, you know, or things being too dark, and you being able to fix those in a digital format.
Yeah.
Whereas like on films like High Plains Drifter, we are reliant upon like lighting, gels, things like that to create tone and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the aspects of it. I'll tell you, there are a couple of films, they just weren't made for me.
Yeah.
Battle Angel Alita. I remember when that film was being talked about, and that was a
Terrible.
James Cameron film that was coming out there. I was really excited because the idea of it, I didn't know about the graphic novel. I hadn't read the graphic.
I liked the manga, yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't read it, but the premise sounded amazing, and it was going to be a James Cameron film, and I was super excited. And then he let that go because he was starting his whole Avatar world at that point in time. He was full-fledged into that. So it went to Robert Rodriguez, who has made some good films that I've enjoyed. Not always, but for the most part, and a skilled director who has done a lot of practical stuff. And Battle Angel Alita was not a film that was made for me because it's not an animated film, but it is all a digital computerized film. And it has live action people in a world that's been completely created out of animation. And it's not an interesting one like like old Disney ones where we've got Mary Poppins dancing with hand animated cell stuff. It's meant to feel very real, and none of it feels real at all.
It triggers my uncanny valley bad.
Absolutely. And it feels, yes, the uncanny valley for sure. That whole film just and they're trying to make a good film. They're really working hard to make a good film, but it feels so flat and so frenetic. Like there's all these things are happening and stuff doesn't look real. And it's like, I don't know what's important or who's important or what, like none of this, it just feels like a mess to me. And it's so hard. Now it takes a film like that being made for them to go, oh, we're going to work on this technology or do something better this way, or maybe we should have. Like, I get it. But it's tough. Those are tough films for me to watch like that.
Was Ex Machina after Alita or before Alita?
I think that movie probably really close to around the same time, but I think it came out before then.
That was done way better.
That movie is so beautiful. The work on Alicia Vikander.
Don't get me wrong. I love Rodriguez. I love Rodriguez. Like,
he's a great grindhouse filmmaker.
Well, he is a fantastic person in the sense that he is very passionate about films, and
he
like
loves his filmmaking.
I
absolutely
love to listen to him talk about films. And I mean, I want to be him when I grow up. Well, he is probably the same age as me, but yeah, like I love hearing him discuss films and how much he loves films. So for me to like, when you see, like, if you take these two films, you take, Ex Machina, and then you take Battle Angel Alita, it's like, this is just so much better done.
Yeah.
That's green screen compositing of like adding the digital, like adding making an android look real, but also look like an android.
Yeah. Alex Garland is an excellent filmmaker, not just writer, but to be honest, that is one of those where I don't know how they made that film, Ex Machina, so good and so beautiful and so seamless. It's so beautiful. And that makes the horror that much more horrifying. It's so beautiful. And Robert Rodriguez is a really great film director, and he's kind of like an inspiration when it comes to filmmaking, because he was, making his first film for like $25,000 out there, running around and blowing stuff up. Yeah.
Which also has a Western element too.
Absolutely. He's, and that leads on to later having Desperado. So he is a really gritty, right, in the trenches filmmaker, and he's had a positive influence in the Star Wars world and what he's been doing. Absolutely
Agreed.
Excellent. And because it's not just Battle Angel Alita, after that was Ready Player One. That was a very difficult
film.
film.
That movie.
It's the same kind of digital effects film that's just frenetic and chaotic, and I can't tell what's going on from one place to the next, and nothing feels real. And that's one where they're supposed to be in a virtual reality world anyway, but if you want me to virtually think I am in that world, the uncanny valley was there, because it felt like it was trying to be real in a virtual reality, but it's like, I don't feel like I'm in something virtual. I feel like you're trying to make me think these are realistic, photorealistic people, photorealistic characters and all of this stuff, while being hyper realistic with the fact that they're in this digital world of, people with, saw arms and laser beam eyeballs and all of this. And it just doesn't land for me. It's really difficult, because I can watch a High Plains Drifter, and while I have my discomfort in the beginning with that assault scene, that movie is so grounded and so real, dealing with that supernatural idea. It's just so good. Like, I'll take that film any day.
Horror movie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, hands down, I call that a horror film.
Yeah, and I'm going to agree with you. It is a horror film with a Western setting.
Absolutely. I mean, there's horror Westerns. We got plenty of those.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that any genre of film can subgenre out to horror for the most part.
Yeah. Bone Tomahawk is a horror movie that's set in the West.
Style.
I can't watch that movie ever again.
What?
That movie disturbed
it's messed
me.
Up. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, that kind of wrecked me.
Yeah.
When every now and then I'll see like a scene will come up from that trailer. Fantastic actors. There's an actor in there. I'm not going to get his name this time, which is unfortunate, because he's actually the star of Dark Winds, and it's a series right now. He's a local sheriff in Dark Winds. It is so good. It is such a good show. They just finished season 3. They're getting a season 4. Like, he's phenomenal. But then I see like a clip come back from Bone Tomahawk where he's in there, and I'm like, man, he's a good actor, but oh man, that film messes me up. Oh God.
It's pretty gory.
Oh.
Pretty gory.
Yeah, and it's one, like, I can make it through most of that film, but you know what I'm talking about when they finally get into the caves with those folks, and it's like, never again. Never again. But that's a Western, it's a horror Western.
True story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about the characters? Because I kind of sidelined us. I wanted to
No,
talk
I mean,
about
like,
the city.
I
and
think the
the
characters
town.
I mean, I feel like there's not much to them. They're pretty one-sided. There's not much depth to the townsfolks. Like the only people we actually get much side story on is Malachi. And we may be getting his name wrong, so y'all don't freak out. But I think his name is Malachi. I
Yeah.
feel like that feels right, but I'm all like, Outlander.
He's the guy with
Mordecai.
the good biblical.
It's Mordecai. Whoo!
It was
Here
one
we
of those
go.
good biblical names.
Here we go.
I'll go back in all the places where you're saying Malachi, I'll just take this Mordecai section in there. And your lips won't match up, but it'll be
Mordecai.
funny.
That's our post editing.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I think honestly, as far as characters, the only people that had much depth to them was Mordecai. And we weren't allowed to have much depth on this stranger himself. Because again, like when we're getting those flashes of him being as Marshall Duncan, he is being beat to death.
He's kind of our narrator, really. We don't spend a lot of time with him because he's the guy getting us through the story.
But we don't get to know anything about anybody,
Right.
really. And I think that's kind of the purpose, is that this town is so one-sided. They are so greedy. They don't have much going for them other than that.
Well, we get a little bit because we have our moments where we have like the little town meetings where they're discussing what do we do next, and we start to see
Kind of how
like,
shitty they are.
Right, yeah, and we get to see like the lead person of town who's kind of, we're all cowards. I'm the vocal coward in town, and we all agreed as cowards this is how we're going to do it. So, okay, cowards, is this what we're doing? Yeah, we're all doing that. Okay, cowards, great. So there's kind of a couple of mouthpiece cowards in town, and it's not the sheriff. The new sheriff in town, he's the sideliner. He's kind of a little bit of like I guess the muscle for the one person who's not even the mayor. It's it's the guy, it's the dude from Lethal Weapon down the road.
Yeah, he's like the
is he the shop? No, he's not the shop owner, because we see the shop owner when we've got the indigenous folks that are there.
He's the owner of the hotel.
No, he's not the hotel owner. That's a different guy who has
Is he the mayor?
He and his wife. I thought he's not the grocery shop owner. Man, I don't remember who that guy is. So we really don't spend any kind of
right. Like again, they're not developed very much, but that's okay.
Right.
We don't need them to be, because we recognize their fault, and so that's the point of this movie: is this vengeance.
It's a hierarchy of cowardice.
This
and
is
that's
vengeance.
It. Yeah.
This is the cantos of one of the cantos of hell kind of situation. Like it is. This is the town of, this is hell and vengeance.
Yeah. It's a great film.
Yeah.
It really is a great film.
I feel like I had to convince people to watch this at times. Like I have friends that were like, High Plains Drifter? I'm like, yeah. Like I love this movie. And people don't realize that I'm kind of like Westerns. But I like Italian Westerns mostly.
Yeah.
So I am a Leone kind of fan. Like I love I love the those kind of almost giallo like aspects of like Italian Western films.
Yeah.
Little De Laurentiis type stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have to say, I like those kind of films, the spaghetti Westerns as they were called. I like those films. I like High Plains Drifter more than I like the John Wayne Westerns.
Despise John Wayne films. I mean, they're fine. He's fine. I'm just not a like.
They're all the same.
They're just that's why this is considered a revisionist like Western, is because this takes Western films in a direction that people were not expecting.
Yeah.
This takes Westerns into an era that we were seeing just cowboys versus Indians, and like then we're seeing like a different light of this. I mean, I find it so damn brilliant. And I know that some people don't really like Clint Eastwood, but like the beginning of Clint Eastwood was he's a fucking great director.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
He's a great actor and a great director. Yep.
He's got a lot of range.
Yeah.
Now, maybe not so much range. Only old man.
Well, he's 93 now.
Right. I don't even think he's acting anymore, which is good.
Yeah. I think he stopped at The Mule was his
Yeah.
last film that he did, which I think he directed and starred in that one as well.
Yeah. But
Yeah. No, he's great. I've enjoyed his stuff. I remember back in the day, a film of his that I loved was Heartbreak Ridge. I watched Heartbreak Ridge all the time. I don't have any idea why, but there was something about that film that I just really loved watching Heartbreak Ridge. And I'm not a military guy, and I don't like war movies for the most part.
Yeah.
But there was something about Clint Eastwood and Heartbreak Ridge that was just something. And it, you know, back in the day, that was, you know, I had friends who had HBO, so it like played on HBO a whole bunch.
Oh, yeah.
You know, one of those.
All of his films did, I think.
Firefox. I watched Firefox a bunch of times
Yeah.
on Friends HBO. You know, I had to go over because I lived in the country, so we'd go over to their house to go watch something. You know, so, and he was having a hell of a run in the 80s and 90s. Clint was doing all sorts of stuff.
I even liked his later film. Like, I loved Gran Torino.
Gran Torino. So Gran Torino is a good film.
Yeah.
I don't care for some of the performances that are in there.
Yeah.
I like some of the moments.
Yeah.
Gran Torino is a film that has these really great moments.
Agreed.
Everybody remembers Get Off My Lawn.
Well, I mean, because that's like the boomer, like,
Right.
like spokes phrase.
Absolutely. It's like that thing is that is part of our lexicon now. People who probably haven't even seen the film know
Right.
that phrase.
It's kind of like the old man yells at cloud
Right.
thing from The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly. People who have never seen The Simpsons know
They
that
know
meme.
old man yells at cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and unfortunately, far too many times, the boomer and now starting to be a little bit
Or
Gen
Gen
X
X.
people are starting to like live those out loud. Yeah. I love High Plains Drifter. I love it a lot more. I loved, again, comparing this with Pale Rider. Pale Rider is a good film. It's not a film that I would revisit. I would have no need to rewatch Pale Rider for any reason whatsoever.
I've watched it twice, and I'm like, meh, okay,
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, it's great.
Yeah.
It's very by the book.
Yes.
It's got the formula. It's by the book. It is the money. Like, I think most people remember that film more than they do High Plains Drifter, which is kind of a tragedy. But yeah, go out and see High Plains Drifter. Go out and see High Plains Drifter.
Yeah, High Plains
Seriously.
Drifter, definitely. It's a great film.
Yeah. Thanks for watching it with me.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me. No, I love it. And that's the whole point of all of this stuff. And seeing these great movies, revisiting some, watching some new ones that maybe aren't so... We'll talk about that in a little while. Yeah, it's just wonderful. I love watching movies, and I love watching movies with you. So thanks for continuing to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I have to announce what the next movie is we're going to
Yeah,
watch?
because you picked it, buddy. That's your choice.
Dang it. The next film that we are watching is Uncle Boonmee Who Remembers His Past Lives. It is an exploration into a man passing away with kidney cancer, and he explores his existential realities and maybe not so much realities. It is a deep dive into art world filmmaking. It's going to be interesting. I'm sorry. Not I'm sorry. It is definitely it's an experiment in film watching, and that's what we're here for.
We are here to talk about art.
We are here to talk about the art of film, and I love it so much, and I love doing all of this with you. So until the next episode, Gretchen, thank you so much.
Yeah.